Welcome to Living the Dream, sponsored by Jackrabbit Dance, the podcast that brings together studio owners, dance educators, and leaders in the industry. Hosted by Rhee and Laura Giacomelli, each episode is packed with real talk, inspiration, and a passion for the dance life. We're so glad you're here. Hi, friends. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Rhee. How you doing today?
I'm having a good Monday.
Awesome.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome to Living the Dream. I'm Rhee, and I am here with my partner in talking everything dance life, Laura Giacomelli. We are so glad you're here. How's it going, Laura?
Pretty good. We're back, and today's conversation is going to be a good one. But before we get into it, you know us, we like to talk all the things and catch up. So, Rhee, how was your weekend? What's going on in your world?
My weekend was quiet. I've been trying to do that when I have weekends off. And what do I mean by quiet? Catching up on work, of course, but also laundry, cleaning, Netflix, good food, good time, actually, this past weekend.
Sounds like a nice balance. I'll take that.
Yeah. You know, I used to travel so much, and now I have weekends at home, and I love them. I don't like to leave now. It's so interesting how things have changed in that way. I don't want any phone calls. I don't want any disturbances. Maybe hang out with a couple friends. Like, this is what people did on weekends all those years. I didn't have any weekends. It's really interesting.
Right. When you had all of your competitions going on every weekend, Rhee, I couldn't imagine that life. Like it's one thing to attend competitions, another thing to be running all of that weekend after weekend. It's a lot.
And it wasn't what it is today. One of the things that I know that I deal with now is I have this lower back pain. I've been told it's arthritis, but I don't want to face that. So I just call it lower back pain.
Yep.
And I know that it was from lifting all those boxes and rolling out floors at the dance competition. It wasn't from dancing.
Right. No, it's the other heavy lifting you do in the dance world.
Yeah, it was running dance competitions. So you get reminded of it throughout your journey. What did you do over the weekend?
So over the weekend, this might sound crazy to some listeners. My studio, our season ended for competition, and we actually already had auditions for next year's team. So that was on Saturday. We currently have 60 dancers on company right now, and we had an additional 38 new dancers audition, which I'm super excited about. And and then all of our current dancers, because we have so many in our competitive program, they are actually auditioning in class this week. So they don't have to come in on like an extra day. They're already in class. So we'll just do, like an in-class audition. We'll do combos and across the floor. So we're not focusing so much on running and cleaning routines anymore, which is nice. We can start learning some fresh stuff and doing some new things. So that was my weekend. And then Sunday was Mother's Day, and I grabbed my son and we cruised up to my parents' house in the Poconos, and we hung up there on Sunday, and we actually flew back down the highway this morning, and now we're podcasting. So it's a good balance. So yeah, it was really good. Little work, little play, little work.
Yeah, back to reality really fast and quick.
Yeah, but it's okay. I love my reality, so I don't feel bad about that.
So we're going to talk customer service today, and I have a belief before we get into this conversation, that even though dance teachers or studio owners might not want to hear it, if you interview parents, customer service comes above all other things. That's even your training. customer service. So, what are your thoughts on just that statement as we begin this conversation?
I 100%, well, I 100% agree with you. I think that customer service is very important. I feel like my customer service had to change as my studio grew a lot. Um, when it was just me teaching all the things and my mom running the front desk, I was the one doing the emails and returning the phone calls and doing all the things. But then as I grew, things really had to change. And even just, I mean, you're 14 right now. And entering this year, I've always had a company director who's always taking care of the emails from the company kids. When I put that in place, that was a game changer for me because she's like the liaison that answers all the questions, and that's amazing. But this year, I finally handed over my emails for like the studio emails, and I was holding on to them for like 14 years. And I'm like, why am I feeling like I have to be the one to respond back when I'm paying a front desk person to sit there? But what I realized is they were emailing them back immediately. And for me, they would sit there for like 24 or 48 hours until it finally I could have a chance to dig through my inbox and get to them. And that was a big game changer. I know it sounds so little, but to me, now that I'm a mom and I'm
You
emailing
know,
someone from Cole, I want a response quick. I want that response quick.
I think that turning it over to somebody also takes out this emotional part, because one of the reasons we don't respond right away is because we want to say the right thing and figure this
Yeah.
out. When in
Yeah.
reality, taking the emotional and going, hey, your job is to respond to messages like this. I think it's easier for that person to do than it is for us.
Yeah, and I feel like too, Rhee, it's also interesting if you have a mom that's coming in hot for whatever reason, whether it's a bad score at a competition, whether it's something happened in a baby class because someone got picked on, whatever it is, that front desk person can kind of be that buffer that says, "Thank you so much for your email. Thank you for making us aware of the situation. I'm going to talk to the owner. We'll be back with you in 24 hours." And then, like, I can then run with the ball and talk to the teacher or talk to the company director, it kind of gives you a moment as an owner to figure out the entire situation and get all the facts, but not the one who had that initial email and had to deal with mom. Because sometimes when I would send that email, I'd get 5 more paragraphs back. And I'm like, I don't even know how to respond to your first 5 paragraphs. And I got 5 new ones that you're sending my way. Like, let me kind of figure out what's going on and I can give you the right answer and handle the situation. So I really liked that this year. I liked having that person to be like, I'm going to talk to the owner. We're going to get it situated and I will touch base with you by the end of the night. And we could roll with it from there. It kind of took a little more pressure in different ways off of me too, which was nice, which I really liked.
All right. So customer service is going to be today's topic.
Mm-hmm.
We have Vicki Wallace, who has a studio in Ohio, and Tammy Bolduc from Massachusetts, who will be joining us. Customer service is their priority. And they're good friends of ours, so we're excited to have them. Before we do that, let us say thank you to our sponsor, Jackrabbit Dance, one of the finest companies in the USA, always working to be better, and really always sponsoring and being kind to the Rhee Gold Company in our conferences and broadcasts.
This episode is sponsored by Jackrabbit Dance, the dance studio software empowering you to build the studio of your dreams. With over 20 years of experience, Jackrabbit has the solutions and industry insights to help your business grow. Want to increase student enrollment, optimize your pricing to be profitable, or improve staff retention? See how other studios are using Jackrabbit Dance to hit their goals year after year. To learn more, visit jackrabbitdance.com/benchmarks.
Hey, 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 ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome. Before we open up our conversation, those of you that are viewing, let us know where you're from. Let us know what you're thinking in the comments. Welcome, Vicki. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much for being here. So you two are incredible leaders in your studio, but what I find so interesting is that you have such large studios, but I feel like everyone in your building feels very seen, which I think is very important. So can we talk about introduce yourselves? Maybe Tammy, start. Tell us about your program, how long you've been running your studio, the size of your studio, things like that.
Sure. Yes. This is my favorite topic. So I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Tammy Bolduc. I own a studio in Danvers, Massachusetts. This is my 30th year. We'll be celebrating my 30th recital as the owner of North Shore Dance Academy. But I've been with the school for 38 years. Something that's exciting is the founder of our school is going to be at our recital this year. So we'll be introducing her to all the people that didn't know her before me. So we're happy about that. Our school has about 675 students, and we have 23 people on staff. That includes teachers, my incredible office manager, lobby assistants. So yeah, that's a little bit about us.
Amazing. And Vicki, how about you?
Okay, I'm Vicki Wallace. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio area, a little town called Loveland. And we are going into our 22nd year. We are into it now. We have a dance, tumbling, and ninja studio. We have a little over 1,100 kids and 37 staff members.
Wow. Both huge programs. Congratulations on that, first and foremost. Let's start there.
Thank you.
Amazing.
That is a for sure. You have built something really remarkable, and we appreciate you being with us today.
Mm-hmm.
When did you realize that customer service needed to be a central part of your business? I'll start with you, Tammy.
I think relationships have always been very important to me. So, starting as a young teacher and then taking ownership of the school, I always found it important to have a relationship with the people that were coming to the school. So I think that kind of organically evolved as the school got bigger, and knowing maybe I can't handle this all myself. Let me bring on some more people so that everybody has what they need when they come through the door. Yeah, so I think pretty on, I knew how important it was to treat people the way I'd like to be treated.
Vicki.
Pretty much the same. Like Laura said in the beginning, it was all me. I did it all. And as we grew, I knew that once I couldn't remember or knew all of the kids' names and could call them all by name and address the parents, I knew at that point we need help, because I think calling them by name and greeting them by name and, is very important. So just halfway, when we get big enough to where you just can't do it all yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like starting off being in touch with everybody, and then as you're scaling, figuring out how to remain in touch with everybody. Did I describe that right?
100%.
Mm. I have a question. When it comes to customer service, what does it look like in your dance studio, Tammy? What does excellent customer service look like to you?
I think making sure, like you said earlier, that everybody feels seen, especially when there are a lot of bodies in the building. Making sure that everybody knows that they are of value, at the studio.
Mhm.
And not just the student, but the parents, the grandparents that come in, the siblings, the people in the waiting room. I think building a community takes work,
Mhm.
but I also think like attracts like. So people that
Mm.
come are looking for that kind of family-friendly community, and it's important to us, to the whole staff, to make sure that they feel that when they come through the door.
Can I dig a little deeper on Tammy's answer?
Mhm.
What does it mean to you for a customer to be seen?
When they walk through the door, my office manager says hello to every single person that walks through the door. I witness it every day. And we have we have 2 locations, so we have 4 classrooms in one location and 2 in another. And both of our front desk, they make sure that when somebody walks through the door, they're calling them by name, even if there's 4 classes coming in at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. We also listen. My office is on the other side of the lobby, so I can hear the conversations that are going on the other side of my wall. And not that I'm eavesdropping, but walls are only so thin. But
It comes in handy.
If a mom is
I
coming
can see you with your glass.
yes. If a mom is coming in frazzled, and this is the first time that she's sat down all day, and you hear that sigh on the other side of the wall, and she's talking to a friend who's another mom about what a busy day it was, and I have like a stack of high five cards that if I hear that this is going on, I'll just grab a high five card and go out of my office and sit beside her and tell her she's doing a good job and give her one. And she didn't expect that. She didn't know that, but I see her. This
Yeah.
is, we're all in this together. So
Mhm.
Okay, Laura had a really
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
question, and it's not
Vicki.
perfect. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Vicki. And how about you? What does customer service look like at your studio?
Well, we've kind of amped it up a lot lately because of the number of students that do come in and number of families that do come in. All of our front desk staff are considered customer service, and they do greet the people. They're there to help them with anything. If they just see them kind of standing around, they're just like, "Can I help you?" and call them by name if they know their name and everything. But we do have we've also have a customer experience director who takes the next step to not just greet them, but they physically go through the studio talking to the families and trying to get them to interact and complimenting the kids and things like that. And she takes care of if anything big happens within, like even if a coach hears a little girl say that her cat died, we'll send them a card in the mail and say, "We're so sorry that you lost Fluffy." And then we do have, a 5-year and 10-year recognition for our families that they oversee and make sure. So I think customer experience and customer service are almost 2 different things.
Mhm.
Customer service is like when you walk in the front door and your initial reaction and interaction with them, where customer experience is going above and beyond and really making sure everyone, even though you're not in direct contact with them, they're still getting special attention.
Yeah. Your customer experience, like liaison, is that a full, like, are they there every day that the studio is open? What does that position look like? And how did you come up with that position?
Because one of our front desk people, she just is amazing with at just talking to people. She knows everybody's name. And so we just put her in charge. She is there 3 or 4 nights a week. So she is not
Okay.
there every night, but she knows what's going on and she is on top of it.
It's kind of like your eyes and ears of the dance
Mhm.
studio, which is really it's an interesting concept. I don't have anything like that at the studio. I feel like that's kind of me right now. I'm in year 14, and I feel like that's a really cool position to have in there because that's adding in that personal touch and that customer experience and that customer service that they don't necessarily get maybe at karate or at swim or at cheer, right? Like that's something that they'll get inside your walls. And those are the things I feel like that they remember. Like people remember that. Like we have a kindness campaign going on at the studio. I'm really big on like not just recognizing we have our skill cards and we celebrate that. You get your single pirouette, your double pirouette, your shuffle ball change. We're excited about all of that too. But like 2 years ago, we started at Libra the kindness like brigade, and I have little postcards and they say you're amazing. And if my teachers catch our dancers in the lobby in the studio doing something kind, they get a postcard, and the teacher will fill out on the back of the postcard like, thank you so much for helping Susie put her shoes on. I appreciate you being kind. We take a picture of them, and then I have a big treasure chest in the office, and they could go in there and pick out like a pop-it or a ring or a little stuffy or something. And as silly as this sounds, that gets the most likes on social media. That gets the most like like attention. They're like, and that gets the most shares too. Like there's, and I know it's not about like the social media and the this and the that. I just find that so interesting that when I post them in bulk and I'll say, thank you so much for these kind humans for being, leaders in our studio. We appreciate your kindness and like acknowledging them. The moms are so quick to share that. Like, we're so proud of Lily. She got noticed at Libra. Thank you, Miss, Katie for doing this for her. But that's just those little extra things. They're a big deal, and I think that that's something that doesn't take that much time from us. That's something that I kind of had to remind the teachers to do it. Like you have to hand these out. You have to be aware. You have to know. You should all be handing out at least 3 a month minimum. And then once they started doing it and they saw how excited the kids were, and then how the kid next to them were like, well, how can I be kind? How I want to get noticed. You know what I mean? And not in but like an inspired way. I like that. So I feel like having a position of someone who maybe is more in charge of that, I think that's really cool. And taking it to the step of like if a new baby's born, a cat dies, like I think all of that is super important.
So both of you have it down. Can you tell us how you get, I mean, I love the customer experience person, but let's say we're about to begin focusing on customer service above anything else, or more so than we have in the past. How do you get your faculty staff to buy in? What? Either one.
Tammy, you want to go?
You guys sort of like look like I wish you didn't ask me that question.
No,
like not it. Who's gonna go first?
Yes. Well, I can speak on that. So a lot of I want to say probably 90% of our staff is homegrown. So they lived the experience as kids and watched it happen. So that, again, is organic. It's interesting that when a couple of staff members that didn't grow up in the program that we added on later, I remember one, she came to sub one day. It was one of those days where I couldn't find a sub for any class. And I went on, one of the dance teacher pages on Facebook and said, is anybody available today? And this one girl responded, and she came in, and at the end of the day, when all of the students thanked her,
Ooh.
she came into my office and she said, what are you doing here? I cannot believe that they thanked me for teaching them. And I said, well, of course they did. They're trained to do that. They wouldn't walk out of the room without thanking you. And she said, that is really special. That's something unique that I haven't experienced before. So I think they learn from what they see, right?
Yeah.
And she's on staff now. I hired her after that year. She did some subbing and she's on staff. And I think that it's really important that we're all working together towards the same goal. We teach dance, of course, that's what we do, but we're also helping parents raise good humans. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Tammy, I think it's so cool that, because that's like kind of like a full circle thing. It's like you built the culture for the kids to understand the importance of that. And then you have someone who's in the dance world who knows how, I don't want to say cutthroat, but how cutthroat and crazy it can be at some studios and in some parts of the industry and things like that, to then come into your culture and be like, I want to be a part of that. That's really cool.
It was
That's really
cool.
special.
And honestly, I thought that's the way it is everywhere, so for her to come to my office and make it a point to bring that up and tell me that it was special for something that we do every day, you take it for granted maybe, and it is special. Yeah.
Okay, Vicki.
Mine are kind of a lot like Tammy. Every one of my desk staff that works admin for me, their kids grew up dancing, and after they graduated, they just stayed on. They know how we do things, and they know how they wanted to be treated when they were there as a mom. So, and again, it is the culture. It's what's the vibe in the studio. And that does make a difference. And we have let a few people go that just didn't share the same vibe that we did and wasn't projecting what we want. And that's hard, especially when you're friends with them, but yet they just don't quite have what it takes to do what you need.
Vicki, that kind of is leading me to my next question. Mine was going to be about how do you approach handling difficult conversations with parents while keeping that professionalism for yourself and your brand?
I will say I do not mind difficult conversations at all. They don't bother me because I know we have a great product. I know our staff loves the kids, puts the kids first, puts the families first. So all I have to do is just apologize that they felt that way. And I have said, maybe this just isn't the place for you. But most of the times they are just thankful that I listened.
Have you always been that way, Vicki? Or was that something that over time developed, like that confidence? Was that from day one with who you are, or was that grown?
No, I used to cry when they yell at me.
Okay, good. We're all sort of in the same boat then. Okay, great.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I thought the world was ending if someone didn't like what I did or something. But no, now it's many years later, I know we are here for the right reasons.
How did it shift? Do you remember when it shifted, or was it gradual?
It was gradual, but I think a lot of it was because my daughters are coming up behind me. And when my daughters would just, especially my oldest, she's a little, she deals more with the parents, and she would just be shattered if they didn't like something. And I just was like, why are you letting that bother you? And that's when we just started together saying, okay, it's not the end of the world. It's better to let them go. And honestly, we have had several that have left. And once they've left and we were so upset, things got so much better. So we, you weed out the ones that don't fit, and it does get better.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we've all have experienced that, where you lose a dancer, especially ones that you had since they were little, for whatever reason. They moving to a different studio down the street, whatever, and you had that pain of like, oh my God, but I taught you your first tendu. I taught you how to plie. I taught you all of that, and I grew you to here. But then sometimes you look at the new vibe, or you look at whatever, it's sometimes that fresh start. Sometimes that's a good thing too. And you can't see that when you're in it, but I think once you get past it and the new season starts and you kind of feel it, I feel like, Tammy, I feel like you've gone through this with your studio. I know you from Gold Alliance, obviously. So I feel like we've had this conversation, you and I, but it's a different, I don't know. And it's new kids go into it, and it just gets revived in a different way. So sometimes it is like a blessing in disguise when those ones who don't fit your mission decide to move on. And sometimes it's easier because then that conversation doesn't have to happen. They made that decision on their own as their own family. Like, no, we want to go someplace that's whatever. Okay, best of luck. And then it's, it's
And
done.
it's a good feeling to be the one to ask them to leave too, instead of them.
There we go. Vicky's deepest thoughts come out.
It is when there are problems within the studio and you have to ask them to leave. I've done that 3 times in 22 years. So,
but good for you for recognizing that, and knowing that if you have a rotten fruit in your basket, it's going to rot the fruit around it. It is. There's no way of getting around it. So if you see it and you've addressed it multiple times and the situation hasn't changed, or they haven't jumped on board with your rules and regulations, then I feel like good for you for being like, we're not a good fit. Move on. And I'm sure that they were probably like shocked.
yes.
I would assume.
Yeah.
I would assume. But I think that's great. Tammy, how about you? How do you approach handling difficult conversations with parents?
I think as I get older, it became easier. Just because of the experience that I've had and being able to see the big picture. Where, when I was a young studio owner, every single concern or complaint, or no matter how big or how small, I took home with me, and I, internalized it. And then as I got older and the more experience I got and the more people I met, I realized, okay, you can do this. You see the big picture of your school now. And I think it's also important to remember that when a parent comes to us and they have a concern, they are doing what they feel is best for their child in that moment. Right? And I have to respect that, and I have to listen to that, because if it wasn't important to them, they wouldn't be coming to me. Right?
Correct.
So to listen to them, to really hear what it is they're saying, to offer the advice that I've had over, the past 30 years of teaching this particular age or this particular, because I mean, the 7 to 10-year-olds, what they're going through, the 11 to 13-year-olds, what they're going through, the 14, you've watched it happen. This may be this parent's only experience with a 14-year-old. And we've done it every single year for 100 14-year-olds,
Right.
a year. So just even helping them see the big picture that, this too shall pass. Here's some advice. It's right on target for their age.
Right.
This, this is normal.
Right.
You know?
And Tammy, I want to add to that. I opened up my studio when I was 25. I was young. I wasn't married. I didn't have children yet. And I feel, and maybe it was because I was younger, maybe because I didn't have children at that time. But I used to feel like they would come at me so hard, the parents, when I was younger, and they would say to me, "Well, you don't get it because you don't have kids. You don't get it because you don't have kids." That was a line that I would get almost like every other tough meeting. And I'm not saying anything, to people who don't have children. I'm just speaking on behalf of myself that I do have one child. When I go into the meeting, it's like I almost when they come in so hot and like I always say it's mama bear mode, like, oh, I can feel it in that email. I can feel it in that message on Facebook that they sent me. I almost give them more grace now that I have my own child. I almost understand that like mama bear mode where they go into like, full stance and chest puffed. And I'm like, I get it. Cause I get like that for Cole. So like, I almost start the meeting. I'm like, Mom, I hear you. I see you. I understand why you feel that way. I have a child of my own. I get it. And it's almost like their guard like goes down a little bit when I approach it that way. And I'm like, motherhood's a different kind of hood. And when you're in it, it's just different, and how you react when your child's upset or crying, you feel it in your soul, like that's your baby. So I feel like when I approach them before I had Cole compared to when now I have Cole, there's almost like I don't take it as personal, if that makes sense. It's like I just realized you're not personally attacking me. You're just emotional about your child because your child's upset or they're embarrassed or they're sad. Yeah, it's just this weird, I don't know what it is, but there was like this clear defying line when I had Cole that I was like, yeah, I get it now. I see you differently and I understand why you get a little crazy. I get it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're all human,
Right.
Yeah. I've held parents' hands as they've talked to me. Or if I know that it's, they're coming in and I can see that they're physically shaking over what's happening. The first thing I'll do is say, you could use a hug. I know that you could use a hug. Like my children are grown now. I have 3 men. My youngest is 28. So, let the guard down and just talk mom to mom or, woman to woman or.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like too with me, I have been on all sides. Before I started a studio, my girls danced at another studio. So I have been the parent and I have been the mom. So I understand from every direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like they connect with you more. I felt that way. And it might not be every situation. Maybe it's just what I've built. My parents connect with me a little bit differently now. They see what kind of mom I am with Cole. I'm active on social media with him, and it's a different kind of vibe. They see me. They see that I'm in the trenches with them with the 4-year-old. So I think they get it, which is cool.
I want to dig into something just a smidge deeper. What do you say to the studio owner who's watching, who, when that parent comes in hot, they're perceiving it as a challenge to them or their knowledge, or they don't have any kids, so they're getting what Laura got.
Right.
Because I think that's what it really is, whether you can have that conversation or not. Or as Tammy said, give that hug. I'd love to be an upset parent at your school.
Right.
What do you say to that person who's like intimidated and believes they're really thinking she's not smart? Got a comment on that? I'll start with you, Tammy.
I haven't experienced that for a long time, but I do remember what it felt like to be intimidated by a parent. And it's not easy. But I guess my advice to that studio owner would be, not everything that they're going to say is something that you need to take on. But listen, because there's always some truth in that concern. There's always a little bit that you can take and you can compromise with, or talk about, or say, tell me more about this. To something that I've said in the past that's really helped is, how would you have done it differently? I've asked the parent that, how would you have done it differently? If you were me in the exact same situation, how would you have done it differently? And just kind of listen to, and sometimes what they're going to suggest is not something that you could possibly do. But in most cases, you can take a little something from it and learn from it, and maybe handle it a little bit differently the next time around. Because you know what? I'm human too. I'm not always right. And I'm going to make mistakes. But
not you.
Oh, yes.
I know.
Oh, yes. Lots of
Me,
them. Daily.
I'll even speak up for Laura. She might make a couple. Not you, Tim.
Not you.
Daily.
No.
I make mistakes daily. But
You're like the Mother
what?
Teresa of dance studio owners, Tammy. Okay.
I don't know, but I just hope that I learned something from it. So don't take on everything that they come at you with when they're coming in hot, but listen to them. Yeah.
And I think that's a hard thing to do, because at least for me, I look at Libra Dance Studio, that's my first baby. So when you say, I think it's building up your confidence to not take on what they're saying, and let it sit and eat away at you, leading into recital season and leading into your summer vacation with your family, and still hear that, reread that email in your inbox, even though it's already been handled. Like, I feel like as long as you're sticking to your mission and your culture of your dance studio, then I feel like that's what you need to stand on. Because like you're saying, but to be able to not take that on, that is a skill that I think is hard for us studio owners, because it is our baby, it is our business in a lot of ways. So
true,
it's hard.
Have any advice for that maybe intimidated teacher, Vicki, studio owner?
Yeah, actually, you really have to know that they're speaking from emotional feelings, and what they're feeling is really what they're feeling. And whether it's right or wrong, you've got to play on their emotions and just let them know you understand. And it's you really are sorry they feel that way, but people, I would say 99% of the people don't just decide to come in and yell at you. They do have a legit feeling inside them that they need to get out, and we just have to listen. We just have to listen, and then kind of comfort them, apologize, and then explain why it's that way.
Awesome. You guys willing to go for quickies here? Laura, take it on.
All right, so to close things out, we're going to do a quick round of a game called At Your Service. So it's just a few quick questions. All right, ladies, so I'm going to start with our first one. So can you give us one small customer service detail that makes a big impact at your dance studio? Tammy, you're up.
Acknowledge Mother's Day.
Love that.
Every year
Vicki.
I give a little something to them.
Answer emails quickly and respond to any communication quickly.
Love.
Okay, text, call, or email. What's your go-to communication method? Tammy.
Email, unless it's very, very heated, then it would be a phone call.
We are just now getting into texting, and I love it. It's quick communication. They can't say they didn't read your email.
I kind of like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
A phrase or response oh, this is Laura's question. I'm jumping on top of it. You go.
You're fine. Okay. A phrase or response to use to calm a tough parent situation down. Tammy.
I hear you. How can I help?
Love that. Vicki.
Mine is like I said, I am so sorry. I've been where you are. Let's see what we can do to work this out.
Love it.
Favorite way to recognize or thank families during the year?
There's so many.
I can go on that one. If we have something like a parent that steps up or does something special, we will send them a letter in the mail just thanking them, or I will find them in the studio and go up to them and kind of talk to them and just show our appreciation.
Love that.
That's great.
Tammy, give me one of those many that you have going on. I'm going to say ice cream social.
Yeah, we do a lot of that kind of stuff. Ice cream social, parent appreciation weeks, things like that. But also in every newsletter, starting with a thank you for whatever is happening at the moment. Thank you for sharing your children with us. And we know that this time of year is really busy. And ending with whatever we can do to help. We're always here to help you. So please don't hesitate to ask.
Love that. I like the thank you. I feel like because you're getting so many emails right now, and it's like, here's a reminder. This is a reminder. So like a thank you, I think is a good way to start an email. Most valuable thing you've learned about customer service since becoming a studio owner. Vicki, I'll let you go first.
That you have to treat people with respect, and you have to be intentionally genuine and like, how do I want to put it? It's more just you have to know that you've got to give your best at all times, whether you're in a good mood or not, and treat them like you want to be treated.
Love that.
It's all show business, kid.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you wouldn't go on stage without being your best.
Tammy, how about you? Oh, sorry. Tammy, how about you?
To know that not every question that comes to you is an attack. If somebody's asking a question, it's because they don't know the answer. And
yes,
just, don't ridicule them. Just give them the answer. You want them to know. If they don't know and they're asking, just give them the answer. Even if you've sent it in 8 million emails and there's signs all over the place, you don't know what they don't know. So just answer the question.
just copy and paste and say, here you go. Have a great day. Yep. That's what I've learned.
And do you want to know why that's good to do? Because we need that in other circumstances.
Yes.
If you really think about the world in 2025, how many times does a dentist remind you that you have an appointment in 2025? Right? We are a society that needs it over and over again. And then even that phone call to remind us one last time.
Yep.
That's a good thing, actually. Okay. So we talk about recitals, we talk about the business. I think that this is a discussion that is a really important one and should continue to happen, because this is the secret to getting families to come back year after year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a great conversation, because customer service is something that can be systemized. You don't have to guess. You just have to care, communicate, and be consistent with your clientele.
Agreed. Yep.
This conversation inspired you, check out regal.com where you'll find all kinds of inspiration, other episodes of Living the Dream podcast, some conferences, etc.
Yep. And don't forget to subscribe to Living the Dream on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube so you can catch every episode whenever it works for you.
And I want to say one last thank you to Tammy and Vicki and also to Jackrabbit Dance. We so much appreciate you sponsoring this conversation and supporting dance studio owners all over the world. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fun.
Thank
You were fun. And I can't get us out of this stream, so bear with me. Here we go. Bye, everybody. That's a wrap on this episode of Living the Dream. A huge thank you to our sponsor, Jackrabbit Dance, for their support of our community and helping dance studios thrive. If you loved today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your dance friends. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep dancing, and keep making a difference.